Good evening, everyone, and welcome again back to Critical Thoughts. I'm your host, Braxton Smith, here today to talk to you about the subject that is Rand Paul's recent media blackout. So recently, actually, yet as of yesterday, you might have heard if you weren't too rolled up in that national championship, won by none other than Roll Tide. Thank you very much, Roll Tide. Um, Rand Paul actually was excluded from the debate coming up here recently, or coming up here shortly. It'll be with Fox News Business. They are hosting a debate, and Rand Paul, for some reason, was excluded from the main stage due to some arbitrary polls they came out with. And I want to take a minute to discuss to everyone to let them know this is actually huge. Like, this is almost Alabama winning the national championship, football championship, huge. So yeah, we're going to take a few minutes to discuss that today. So first off, I want to say, I just want to let you know that, this, in case any of you out there haven't been paying attention and just now maybe getting into this media blackout of Rand Paul has actually been going on for several months now with several media outlets. Like, it's just like we saw back in 2012 with Ron Paul, where all these media outlets, they wouldn't acknowledge the fact that Rand Paul is coming in like second or third. They would acknowledge first, second, and fourth, but they wouldn't talk about third place. That was Ron Paul in some of these polls. Now they've gotten to the point, I fear, that they're actually manipulating some of these polls directly now. So they just kind of stepped up their game a little bit here recently. So allow me a moment to elaborate. All right. So moving on, I've been scrubbing the internet. I've been looking through a lot of this. This is something I follow very passionately, just politics in general. And I've been looking through forums. I've been taking these polls. I've actually yet to take a single poll where Rand Paul didn't place at least third. Usually he would place even so much as first place, but I have not taken one where he is placed under third place. Right, but here in these polls, assessed by Fox News Business, apparently even John Kasich, apparently he's even more desirable to the American people than Rand Paul is, according to Fox Business. Which, going through all these forums, a lot of people beg to differ. I'm actually, I'm going to take a moment to go through a few of them right now. One of the ones I was looking at. So I'm looking at where Fox Business actually posted who the lineup was going to be. John Kasich obviously being number 7. You couldn't portray him as being anything else. But they had 7 candidates. John Kasich was number 7. Bush was number 6. Chris Christie was number 5. Thank goodness Chris Christie's in this, right? So anyways, first comment, number 1, 117 likes. People are following this. They say, boo, no Rand Paul. I would have gladly have taken him over Bush, Christie, and Kasich. Really disappointed to see so many rhinos on the stage. Rhinos being like your typical establishment candidate that a lot of people just aren't big fans of, except for apparently Fox Business and many other media outlets that have been trying to get rid of candidates like Rand Paul. Scrolling on down, I see Kasich and Bush, really? They have a combined 1%. Get them off the stage. All Kasich is going to do is eat up Trump's talking time, which I don't really like Trump either, but this is a Trump supporter saying, what's Kasich and Bush doing here? And you even have some people saying, I didn't like Rand Paul anyway. Screw that guy. But Jeb Bush and Kasich, really? So I think everyone, just please, I defy anybody watching this right now. I defy you to find somewhere on the internet where someone says they support Kasich, other than a Democrat that wants to see the Republicans fail. Even then, it's I don't even think they would take that kind of low blow on us. But somehow he's managed his way onto the main stage, and Rand Paul's kicked to the kiddie table, but he had enough, I guess, gall and defiance to say, you know what, I'm just going to go. I'm not even going to give you the pleasure of groveling at your feet on the kiddie table. I'm going to take this debate to Iowa and New Hampshire, where this caucus is taking place. he's actually going to be discussing his policies with the people directly there. These are actually the states where we're going to have the primaries first. So he's taking it straight to the people, which I think is awesome. A brilliant move. A lot of people, well, I say a lot of people, were a few people to pout about it. They were saying he's being a crybaby about it, but I mean, you stand for your principle. Obviously, you're still going to have haters, but for the most part, people are going to respect that. And at the end of the day, they're going to see that Trump, I guess he isn't really the anti-establishment candidate because the media is just sucking him up. I mean, and putting him out there. He's the number one guy. He's, if he was anything else, maybe. But I mean, the media won't shut up about him. And, like I said before, bad publicity is better than no publicity. Rand, you've been completely blacked out for a reason. That's because you represent actually a large majority of us. And hopefully in time, people will begin to realize that, and people will begin to back you on this. So I'm pretty sure actually you'll do well in the primaries. Keep it on. All right. So I also wanted to point out this is something nobody ever wants to talk about. This is the interesting thing is that the media has become like essentially like an unsung fourth branch of the government. You have your legislative, you have your executive, and you have your judicial. But then your fourth branch and the checks and balances is really the media, if you think about it. Because if the media ain't backing you, you aren't going to be a presidential candidate. So they basically already decided for you, the people, that they aren't going to allow Rand Paul and all his talks of freedom to reign in this political atmosphere. So they're going to take that option out for you because they know you want to hear from Kasich and they know you want to hear from Jeb Bush. Come on, you love Jeb Bush and your old pal Chris Christie. Sorry, I was thinking Krispy Kreme. So they've arbitrarily made that decision through these polls. Has anybody been polled? Like, if you're watching this, please comment and say, yes, I've been polled, and tell me who you voted for, because somehow out of nowhere, these clowns are leading the pack, and then Rand Paul is like left in the dust. Like I said, I've scrubbed the forums. I've scrubbed all the comment boxes, YouTube, Facebook, you name it. I've been through them. And, Rand Paul may not necessarily be number one, but he's damn sure not under Kasich. I don't even hear about Kasich other than, can this guy please leave? Can he please get out here? That's the only popularity he has in the commentaries. But, like every poll I've ever taken, like I said, he's at least number 3. And then, again, in the straw polls, he's actually number 1. This is something nobody's talking about. Somehow these arbitrary internet polls that the media just comes out of nowhere saying, oh, yeah, I got these results right here. This is where Rand Paul didn't win. Like, why are we taking them for their word? We have these straw polls that are a little more legitimate, where they actually, if you check it out, go to Ballotpedia right now. Rand Paul is winning 12, and then you have Ben Carson at 10, Ted Cruz 9, Scott Walker 4, which he's out, by the way. But even Donald Trump had 0. So how do we even know he's at the head of the polls? I assume he might be because everybody's talking about him. But so far as likely voters, who's going to vote for the guy? Maybe a few people, but at the end of the day, we'll see in the primaries. Again, I'm just trying to put out thought there. Give a second thought. Understand that these polls are obviously not genuine, because you wouldn't have Kasich anywhere on there. I mean, you even go to Facebook. Go to Facebook right now, and you take Kasich, Bush, and Christie, and you combine all their followers, and it still won't amount to how many Rand Paul has. So, assuming that all their followers are just like, I don't know, the whole Amish community and everybody else that doesn't have internet or Facebook, maybe you could make a statement, but like, would they really be into this whole voting thing? Like, would they actually be paying attention to this whole election process? Most people that follow it also follow it on the internet. So it's actually a pretty good gauge to follow this off of. We saw this happen with Rand Paul's father, Ron Paul, who actually is very similar in philosophy. They're both fighting for your freedoms on a daily. In fact, Rand Paul was out there just the other day fighting for your, to audit the audit the Fed rather. Ted Cruz, on the other hand, was absent, but there he was fighting for you to audit the Fed, and they black that out. They black out the fact that Ron Paul did the same thing. They black Ron Paul out. If you go to YouTube right now and you check out why Ron Paul lost the presidency, it's actually a very in-depth and very intriguing video, and you'll find out how the GOP actually manipulated the primaries to see that we were handed Mitt Romney. And I'm sure you all remember exactly how bad of a candidate Mitt Romney was. Nobody really wanted him. It's just kind of the guy the GOP said, like, it'd be nice if we had him, but we would rather have another 4 years of Obama than have Ron Paul. So deal with it. So I encourage you to give a second thought. Maybe just go ahead and boycott this whole upcoming debate altogether. Go give Rand Paul a look. If you're still on the fence about it, I'm sure he can change. Definitely persuade you, especially if you're anti-establishment. If that's what you're pushing for. If you're a Donald Trump guy, more than likely it's because you're anti-establishment. But consider who is really not in the graces of the establishment. Is it really the guy that everybody's pushing for that was blacked out by the media, or is it the guy that the media won't shut up about? I mean, really, who's in favor of the establishment? Who isn't? So, we're actually going to have more videos on this to follow. We definitely have other avenues we would like for you to look at because I definitely see a bloodbath happening in the election here soon. All you Bernie Sanders supporters, I'm afraid you're probably going to be disappointed. All of you Rand Paul supporters, you may be disappointed by the GOP if they screw up. Basically, what I see is like Hillary Clinton and some rhino candidate like Donald Trump or Marco Rubio coming into the picture. You'll find that you have two candidates that don't represent anybody, and then everybody finds themselves settling for the lesser of two evils. So, we plan on later on having a video discussing how we get ourselves out of this vicious cycle. So again, I want to thank you all again for tapping into Critical Thoughts. I hope to get some comments from you, some feedback. Let us know where we can better direct our information, clear some of this up if it's a little unclear. And I definitely hope to have you participate and watch some of these videos, follow-up videos in the future, because they definitely play off this one, and going to be getting a lot more in depth. So thanks again for tuning in. Cheers.